It's all going to zero against Bitcoin.
It's going up forever, Warren.
You're against Bitcoin, you're against freedom.
Digital currency. I'm so happy about that because that's a means of surveillance of the American people. But we want to make sure people can have individual wallets for their Bitcoin so they have that sovereign over their own money. We know we want the US dollar to remain strong. And actually having Bitcoin in reserve can help the US dollar remain strong.
Yo, welcome to Simply Bitcoin Live, the most watched daily Bitcoin live show on YouTube, Rumble, and X. Sit back, relax, enjoy the ride. You have the Bitcoin Senator Cynthia Lummis on Legacy Financial Media. I mean, that's absolutely insane. Talk about the Overton window exploding, shifting. It's an understatement. Like, that's crazy. She's basically saying, like, look, like, you know, Bitcoin could be used as a strategic asset for the United States. We have to protect the right to self-custody. We have to protect Bitcoiners. And of course, you have the president or ex-president and potential future president, and it looks like he will be elected according to the betting odds, speaking at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville. This is insane. I had a feeling this would happen. I just didn't think it was going to happen so quickly, so soon. The Democrats really dropped the ball. They made it a political issue. And of course, that gave their political opponents, the Republicans, to capitalize on that and say, hey, listen, we're going to protect Bitcoiners. We're going to protect the rights of Bitcoiners. Mandrick said something really interesting on Twitter earlier this morning. And it was basically like, look, if you think that Bitcoin needs Donald Trump to win, you've lost the plot. And I answered, no. Donald Trump needs Bitcoin to win. He needs the Bitcoiners' votes. And as Number Go Up Technologies does its thing, Bitcoiners are going to be one of the largest donating bloc in the United States, right? And another thing, I don't think it's going to be politically viable for any political party to have an anti-Bitcoin stance, right? So, you know, you heard it from the Bitcoin senator, protect the right to self-custody. This has become part of the RNC's platform. They mentioned Bitcoin by name. This is absolutely insane. In other news, Max Keiser, this is Friday. We're going to make it extremely bullish, you know, throwing out these crazy numbers, 500K, 220K. He kind of explains it. You know, the thing I love about Max is, first of all, it's Andreas and Max. They were instrumental in my orange pill journey, but this man was telling you to buy Bitcoin since it was $1. All right. So it's probably a good idea to listen to what he has to say in terms of, you know, where Bitcoin is going in the future. Now, I think not that many people know. I mean, I think nobody knows what the short term movements in terms of price action are going to be. But I think we all expect it, you know, to go up and to the right compared to fiat going down into the right forever. Also, in other news as well, Jack Dorsey announced his ASIC that he's developing with Block. He announced that was ready to launch. He teamed up with a publicly traded Bitcoin mining company, Core Scientific. So we have news in that regard for you guys today. And in other news as well, I'm starting to see a pattern, which is multiple kind of exchanges and people linked to exchanges. You keep seeing the same thing, which is AML, KYC, and the DOJ gets involved, and the founders, you know, they get you know, pressed with charges. They offer a plea deal, but it's always the same thing. It's like they broke KYC, they broke AML. It's like Binance, Paxful, BitMEX, like it go BitTrack, like it literally, you can go down the line of all these exchanges. And what's interesting, and I did a little bit of research on this, and one of the themes that we've always said on the show is rules for thee, but not for me. Banks are literally one of the largest money launderers in the world, if not the largest money launderers in the world. And I have the data for you guys, but it's interesting because none of those bank officials, they don't get charged with anything. They just get fined, and they see it as a cost of doing business. But as it relates to our industry, No. We get locked in a box, right? So it's rules for thee, but not for me. What is that but not a cartel? That's like a cartel working with the government. It's like banks working with the government. Like it's so strange. And then this reminds me of 2008, right? No banker went to jail, right? It was Main Street that bailed out Wall Street. No consequences. And remember, this is crucial to Bitcoin's history. Remember the Genesis block, right? Chancellor on the brink of the second bailout for banks. Satoshi knew this is a problem, right? But this is what the separation of money and state is all about. Bitcoin truly fixes this. And I'm excited to talk about all these things and explore these topics. We also have a very special guest. We have Kent. He is the CEO of Sazmining. Sazmining is Bitcoin mining as a service. Very, very fancy. Very nice way to say. It's also a great way to stack sats cheaper. Isn't that right, Kent?
That is correct. Yeah, if you plug in our numbers into Galaxy Digital's cost to mine a Bitcoin calculator, you will see that the cost to acquire a Bitcoin with us right now is about $45,000.
Oof. So you're getting what in percentage terms? What is that discount?
Oh, I haven't looked at the numbers in the last few days with Bitcoin's movement, but I believe it's around 20% discount. Yeah, so if you're looking to get the biggest bang for your buck, you really need to diversify your acquisition strategy into mining.
Absolutely. And you guys make it incredibly easy with the UI. You guys have an incredible support system. You guys care about your reputation. You guys care about your integrity. So we've had Saz on many times, but today we're going to focus on Kent's origin story, what led him to Saz. Of course, we're going to talk about Sazmining as well. It seems like you guys really enjoy it when we bring them up. And I also want to bring up my co-host, who's always optimistic. And how you doing, Opti? Opti, you look so good in the 4K and the HD. You got the camera going. Looks good in the lighting.
I need to get OBS going. I just downloaded it yesterday, but I'll look prettier, Nico. I'll look prettier. But how's it going today? I've been better. I'm not gonna lie. I've been better. I think I might be catching a cold here, but other than that, it's Friday. We're here on a Friday, so everything's great, man. Life's wonderful. Again, I say it every single day, guys. Once you live on the Bitcoin standard, life's wonderful. There's no point to be mad about anything. Life's great.
Man, I mean, they don't call you Optimus Fields for no reason. Anyways,
it's a way of
Opti,
life.
it is the day. It is the day, brother. What is it today? What happens on Fridays on Simply Bitcoin?
Are we even gonna make it to a meme Friday, bro?
We will try. Let's see if we have enough time.
I have memes here, but I don't even want to tease it because then I'm gonna get yelled at if I rug pull it.
We'll see if we have time. We will definitely do it on Monday. On Monday, we will do it for sure. Anyways, guys, it's gonna be a great show. So sit back, relax, enjoy the ride. But before we get to it, I do want to give a very special shout out to our lead sponsor. And of course, I'm talking about the best place to build your automatic self-custody Bitcoin stack, bitcoinwell.com. It's a publicly traded company coming out of Canada that recently expanded to all 50 states, and they're on a mission to enable independence. It is a self-custody by default platform. What does that mean? That means that you can't buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well unless you intend to take self-custody. As soon as your funds clear, it goes straight to your self-custody Bitcoin wallet address, which perfectly aligns with the Simply Bitcoin ethos of the separation of money and state. Also, if you're an existing Bitcoin Well user, every time you buy Bitcoin, you earn Bitcoin Well points, and you can use those points towards the Bitcoin Wishing Well, which is kind of like this, contest type of thing. And if you're lucky, you can win up to 1 million Satoshis. So I'm going to flick a coin into the Bitcoin Wishing Well and have your Lightning wallets ready. First person to scan the QR code gets 500 sats. By the way, if you use the promo code simplybtc, you get 3 tosses into the Bitcoin Well Wishing Well absolutely free. So head over to bitcoinwell.com today. Support self-custody by default Bitcoin on-ramps. All right, everybody, let's hit the numbers.
The Bitcoin numbers.
Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Is your seed phrase really secure? Stampseed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of just writing them on paper. Don't store your generational wealth on paper. Paper is prone to water damage, fire damage. You want to put your generational wealth on one of the strongest metals on planet Earth, titanium. Your words are actually stamped into this metal plate with this hammer and these letter stamps. And once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamped seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They're also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin with peace of mind for the long haul. Stamp your seed on Stamp Seed. All right, everybody, I made it incredibly easy for you guys to maintain your relationship with your grandchildren. If you write down your seed on a piece of paper, you know, there's a high probability it won't survive the test of time. And then imagine that conversation with your grandchildren many decades from now. I lost my Bitcoin because I didn't stamp it on titanium. Don't put yourself in that position. You can use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the stampseed.com store. All right, everybody, at the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is $58,290, sats per dollar 1,715, block height 851,860, blocks to halving 198,140, halving estimate March 28, 2028. Total Lightning Network capacity 5,017 BTC. Capacity value, it's roughly worth 292 million fiat cuck bucks. Realized monetary inflation 1.52%. Market capitalization of Bitcoin 1.15 trillion. It's just party's just getting started. Bitcoin versus gold market cap 7.0%. All right, everybody. So let's talk about the bullishness, because this is bullish Fridays. I don't even know if that's the thing, but I guess I'm making a thing now. Anyways, here's David Bailey, Bitcoin Magazine. They just had a huge week. They got an ex-president and potential future president of the United States to speak at a Bitcoin conference. So you can surmise that he's probably having some interesting conversations in the background. And I started the episode with the cold opening of Cynthia Lummis talking on Legacy Financial Media. I did that on purpose just to kind of give you guys an idea of the heights of which these discussions are taking place. Self-custody is being discussed on Legacy Financial Media in the halls of Congress. We have like I said, you have Trump speaking at the Bitcoin conference. You had RFK last year. You have Vivek. You have a bunch of senators. Like, this is becoming a big deal. And again, it's not because Bitcoin needs this. It doesn't need anyone. It's because these politicians need Bitcoiners' votes. They need the influence. This is how we win. This is a grassroots movement after all. So anyways, this is what David Bailey said. He said, "People, I wish you could listen to the calls I've been on the past 12 hours. I'm the most bullish person you know, and frankly, I'm not bullish enough. This is a transformational moment for Bitcoin on the world stage." I completely agree with that statement. Anyways, here's Max Keiser, the original bullish person. This man has been evangelizing Bitcoin since it was at $1, $100. I think it came from his hatred of central banks. But anyways, I'm into it because I hate central banks too. But anyways, here is Luke Broyles and Max Keiser. Luke interviewed Max Keiser. I believe this was during the halving party in El Salvador. Anyways, he had some interesting things to say, and then we'll get to some of Keiser's price predictions.
This fiat money chase is an endless hamster wheel of an emotional roller coaster that is everything is forcing you to think like you need to keep chasing this tail of the fiat money world. But once you get into Bitcoin, pretty quickly you start to realize it's unconfiscatable, it's inflation proof, it's mine, no one else can take it from me, and the purchasing power is going to go up forever. And I can listen, and Michael Saylor works for me, Larry Fink works for me. Like, those are my employees. When you turn on CNBC and Larry Fink's there talking about how great Bitcoin is. And 2 years ago, he thought it was shit. Now he's like, oh, I believe in it. You're like, thank you, Larry. You know, I'm up another 10%. Thanks to you, Larry. You're doing a good job, Larry. Now go get your shine box, Larry. That's right, Larry. You know, all these people are now working for you, and they're all coming. You know, they're all coming to be your employee. So I love Michael Saylor. Why? He fucking is making me money. That's why.
Dude, like that is so crazy. Now apply this to the politicians now too, right? They're actually working for you now, right? This is what the separation of money and state is all about. As long as they have a fiat money printer, they're working for the fiat money printer. Once the people hold the money and the people are the ones that have the ability, remember with Bitcoin mining, Kent's here, right? Anyone could mine Bitcoin. Anyone can create more Bitcoin. You just have to invest in the necessary infrastructure, or you can head over to Sazmining and you can use them because it's Bitcoin mining as a service. But the point is, right, is that you have an aligned incentive structure model. So everyone following their incentives, right? Whether it's you run a node, whether you're mining Bitcoin, whether you're a politician, you know, pandering to Bitcoin voters, it's all aligned, right? Everyone pursuing their own greed, pursuing their own incentives is just making the network stronger. And that's the beauty of Bitcoin. And that's in stark contrast with everything else. Anyways, here's Keiser, a tweet that he did like a couple weeks ago or so. He said, a 1987 style crash is coming. Bitcoin, the ultimate safe haven, will soar past 500,000. Gold will continue getting demonetized by Bitcoin. Bitcoin ETFs will get seized by the US government. 1 million middle and upper class migrants will flood into El Salvador. Here's another take from Keiser. Max Keiser explains how Tether in El Salvador will send Bitcoin price to 220K. American broadcaster and Bitcoin proponent Max Keiser believes the stablecoin issuer Tether in El Salvador, as well as the declining United States dollar, will push his Bitcoin's price to 220,000. And in no distant time. In a Saturday tweet, Keiser said the USD is doomed because inflation will sky harder. While this happens, BTC will be on its way to 220,000. So between 500K, 200K, not that bad. Anyways, let's take a look at what his logic is behind this. It goes on to say, in comments sent to Crypto Potato, that's hilarious, Keiser explained that Tether's stablecoin business is strengthening Bitcoin and weakening the USD, which forces the US government to keep raising interest rates. That's 100% right. Tether is one of the largest buyer of US Treasury bills, which is hilarious, right? Anyways, so they can't really shut it down because Tether's going out there. It's like, okay, we'll buy your debt. Anyways, it goes on to say, according to Bitcoin Bull, every country in the BRICS Union, including China and Russia, has understood that the United States is dying in a debt trap of its making, possibly leading to hyperinflation in the printing of USD. As a result, China and Russia are discarding the USD as the world reserve currency and conducting bilateral deals instead. Worse, BRICS is reportedly launching a new gold-backed digital currency later this year, putting, quote, the final nail into the dollar and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It goes on to say, millions of crypto users swap fiat money for Tether, and the stablecoin company in turn swaps the fiat for US Treasury at Cantor, using the interest paid by the firm to buy more BTC. While the increasing rates in US and Tether's profits are rising, as are the company's BTC purchases. It's a USD doom loop that can't be stopped. Now, what's really interesting about this is that this is exactly what Michael Saylor is doing as well, right? He's using the infinite money glitch, right? You know, he buys Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin goes up. What does he do? He borrows against his stock, raises more money, buys more Bitcoin, and he just keeps doing that. And that's a speculative attack on the debt-based system, right? So it's just fascinating how it's happening on multiple different fronts, like in the case of Tether, in the case of MicroStrategy. Like here it goes on to explain, besides Tether, Michael Saylor's business intelligence firm MicroStrategy is part of the speculative attack, according to Keiser. The broadcaster said the difference between the two firms is that MicroStrategy has to, quote, dilute shareholders with serial issuance of preferreds, while Tether does not need to pay any interest. With time, the pace of BTC purchases from several entities, including Tether, MicroStrategy, and El Salvador, will explode, Keiser noted. Speaking about the first country to legalize BTC as legal tender, Keiser, who has several meetings with the nation's president, said, quote, El Salvador is always looking to increase its Bitcoin position, substantially so. Now, what's really interesting, I don't have the picture for you guys, but I saw it on Bitcoin Twitter, which was literally a picture of Germany's Bitcoin holdings just going down. They're literally separating money from state, like themselves. And of course, El Salvador's Bitcoin holdings going up. Right. So What are you more bullish on? And I think this is something that I've said many times. Money plays such a consequential role in the human experience, right? I think a lot of people overlook that. It is the base layer of society. It is the half of every transaction that you do. And I think that if that base layer is corrupted, there are unintended consequences to that, and there are symptoms to that as well, right? I don't think it's a coincidence that the first country that made Bitcoin legal tender has the most popular president in the Americas. I don't think it's a coincidence that Germany, who, of course, fiat maxis selling Bitcoin, a lot of people are not fans of what's going on in Germany, right? I'm not going to get into the whole politics of it, but let's just say there's moral decay in society. There's a lot of things that are happening there that, the population might not necessarily agree with, right? And that's because the politicians aren't working for the people. The politicians are working for the fiat money printer, right? Bitcoin fixes this. Bitcoin aligns incentives, and it's a beautiful thing to see. I don't know. I'm going to start with you, Opti, since it is Friday. So we're going to unleash the bullishness. Do you agree with Keiser's 220, 500K? He's just throwing numbers out at this point, but this man predicted crazy shit back when Bitcoin was at $1, man. So I don't think he's wrong.
Yeah, before I get in my bullish takes here, I do want to touch on the Keiser comment of like Larry Fink works for him now, and then go get your shoebox, Larry. Like that was hilarious. But you said it best. We talk about it constantly on the show about Bitcoin aligning incentives, and once you really understand like how this whole Bitcoin ecosystem works, how no one particular person can control Bitcoin, you start to realize that every single one of us is not only like making every one of us richer by buying more Bitcoin and ensuring that we're holding Bitcoin, but it really makes me think of how capitalism has gotten a bad rap where like, capitalism's so bad and, the greedy corporate capitalists. But like Bitcoin is such a perfect example of when everyone does what's best for themselves and tries to improve for the future, everyone improves. And that's what you're seeing with Bitcoin. Once everyone starts stacking, when every single one of us start accumulating as much Bitcoin as possible, you start to see that the Bitcoin gets bigger. The Bitcoin network gets bigger and adoption happens and more people become wealthier and more businesses are built. And then we can start to wean off the fiat dollar so that, we can stop destroying the world. Anyways, that being said, I don't have any metrics here, Nico, but my vibe has just been telling me, my oracles have been telling me for a long time now that 220 to 300K number seems right. The left side of the bell curve here, it's just a vibe. I can just feel the vibe shift here. And those are the numbers I've been thinking on for a while. Of course, we've been going sideways for a long time and, who knows what's going to happen. But those numbers to me just seem, off the top of my head, like very good numbers. Like those are the numbers I've been eyeing for a couple of years now. And it just seems right. Left side of the bell curve. My gut just tells me that that's where we're going. You can use all the maths you want. You could be right side of the bell curve, use all the maths you want. Or, you just join me on the left side of the bell curve and are just stupidly bullish and like, yeah, it's going to 220K. Why? Because I said so. Like, this is what, this is why. Give me your sources. I am the source. It's going to 220K because I said so. Yeah. No, I'm obviously trolling. Who knows what's going to happen? But that seemed right to me.
Dude, I wanted to pull up a comment where it says Jose Salgado says, wait, does that mean Opti and Nico work for you? Absolutely. Anyone who's actively evangelizing Bitcoin, who's an entrepreneur, who's building a Bitcoin business, who's talking about Bitcoin, they all work for you, right? This is the beauty. I can't emphasize this enough. Aligned incentive structure system. Anyways, Kent, what are your thoughts, man, on this bullish Friday? I want to get your thoughts specifically on the Cynthia Lummis video, man. Like, holy shit. Like, that, I can't believe that conversation is happening, in the halls of Congress on legacy media. She's like, yeah, we're going to protect the rights of Americans to self-custody. And you could tell the anchor's like, what the fuck does that mean? But like the Overton window, bro, it's shifting. We're winning. This feels good.
Yeah, Bitcoin really is the first digital organism, and it's co-opting us all because of the aligned incentives, right? Like when I think about Bitcoin and Satoshi's real genius in launching this thing, he harnessed human self-interest. And I don't think that there is a more powerful force, human-related force on the planet than our self-interest. So it makes sense to see these things happening. And in fact, I was actually thinking of the speculative attack that's going on, whether, like Keiser says, it's coming from El Salvador or Sailor with MicroStrategy or Tether. It just seems like as that continues to produce more and more success, those speculative attacks are going to continue and ramp up, and others are going to dogpile in on that strategy, right? And so I'm not going to be surprised if we have the reverse of what we had happen in 1971 with Nixon, where some president's going to have to come out at some point and just say, hey, we caved, man. Instead of separating from the gold standard, we're going on a Bitcoin standard, because otherwise we're not going to be able to keep the dollar afloat here. Like, we're just overly attacked, right? So I think Cynthia Lummis, with her comment about, Bitcoin backing the dollar, to me, that was actually the most bullish statement that she made. Like, okay, great, protect our self-custody, but just even on national media to suggest that the dollar needs to be backed by Bitcoin. I mean, what reality are we in right now? This is insane. Like 4 years ago, I could not have imagined a U.S. sitting senator saying that, nor could I have imagined Donald Trump, a ex-president and potentially president-elect in a few months, coming to greet and court the Bitcoin vote in Nashville. Like, this is just, it's accelerating at a pace that, when I adopted Bitcoin for the very first time at the end of 2015, I could not have even imagined. And then I look back at some of the early writings by like Hal Finney and the numbers that he put up, and it's just like, how did people know in 2009 that this was going to play out? And it's just harnessing human self-interest and seeing how the game theory plays out. And to your point, that alignment of incentives, Nico, it just is, it's inevitable, the alignment of incentives. It just works.
100%. And that's, I think, why we're going to win, and why we're winning big, is because their system requires coercion. It requires like force to function. Our system is just like, everyone could win, right? Which is like, I've had conversations with like specifically like older people, like high net worth individuals, like older people, successful people. And then I talk to them, I'm like, you could just buy Bitcoin and you don't have to go down the investing into real estate and just, relying on a wealth manager and like whatever. And they look at me like I'm some crazy person, right? And I'm like, yeah, it's that simple. You shouldn't have to invest just to maintain your purchasing power. Isn't that a crazy idea? But they're so conditioned. They've been operating in this system for so long. But it's just crazy how many things Bitcoin fixes, and I truly believe it's going to make the world a better place. Anyways, before we move on to the next segment, I do want to give a very special shout out to our sponsor. Of course, I'm talking about the Pleb Party that's happening in Nashville, Tennessee. If you're going to the Bitcoin 2024 conference, which you totally should be going to, because Donald Trump was just announced as a speaker, and you can use promo code Simply, by the way. You definitely don't want to miss the Pleb Party. It's happening the day before the Bitcoin conference starts. So Thursday, July 25th. It's a 12-hour open bar for anyone who doesn't know what that means. Your ticket includes the drinks, which is awesome. It's from noon to midnight. It's a Pleb Party in Nashville the day before the largest Bitcoin conference in the world. Confirmed attendees include Larry Lepard, Preston Pish, the entire Simply Bitcoin crew, James Lavish, Robert Breedlove, Mark Moss, Pubby, Tatum Turnup, Adam O'Brien, and many, many more. It's an amazing venue, a rustic automobile factory from 1910 with brick walls and tons of proof of work atmosphere. The last Pleb Party in Miami was sold out 8 days before. Over 1,000 Bitcoiners are expected to attend. So if you're going to the Bitcoin 2024 conference in Nashville, you don't want to miss this event. You will not be able to buy tickets at the door. Scan the QR code on the screen right now, or check the link in the video/podcast description. All right, everybody, let's hit the news. Lots to talk about.
The Daily News.
I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Foundation Devices. It's self-custody done right. They built a premium grade hardware wallet called Passport right here in the US. It's fully open source and verifiable. It's the most intuitive Bitcoin wallet designed with a UX reminiscent of a simple feature phone. So you will know how to navigate it and use it the moment you pick it up. Get your Bitcoin off exchanges and into your own hands in just a few minutes. Experience the peace of mind that comes with taking ownership of your own keys. After a massive sellout during Bitcoin Miami 2023, the Passport is back in stock at foundationdevices.com. Bitcoin only, open source verifiable, completely air-gapped security model, gorgeous design craft, premium grade materials. If you're thinking about getting your Bitcoin off exchanges, this is the one for you. Check out the Passport link in the show notes below to learn more. All right, guys, remember, not your keys, not your cheese. You definitely want to take self-custody of your Bitcoin, and the way you do is by getting yourself a hardware wallet. And of course, we recommend our sponsor, Passport by Foundation Devices. It's completely open source. You could pair it up with the Envoy app. If you don't know how to use a hardware wallet, they have a concierge service, so they can literally walk you through how to take cold storage, how to put your Bitcoin into cold storage. Check out passport.xyz. And by the way, if you use promo code SIMPLY, you will get a discount. Anyways, so I think this is a big news. I'm glad Kent is here while we're covering this. So Jack Dorsey and Block have been developing an ASIC, and that is incredibly difficult to do, to say the least. But I think it's also very important because the largest ASIC manufacturers right now, and it's not that I don't have anything against China, but China tends to be, let's just say the Chinese government isn't the friendliest towards Bitcoin. I think they're CBDC maxis in my opinion, but it seems like the majority of ASIC manufacturers, the majority of ASIC manufacturers are all located in China. Of course, I'm talking about Bitmain, I'm talking about Canon, and I'm talking about MicroBT. Now, these are all great companies. Bitmain has had a little bit of controversy in the past because of Jihan and Bitcoin Cash. But these companies do manufacture the lion's share of Bitcoin mining ASICs. Now, this is why I think this announcement by Jack Dorsey is so important, because we want more ASIC manufacturers. We want more decentralization. We want more democratization of the industry. We don't just want, it all concentrated in a single country, right? So here's Jack Dorsey on Twitter saying our first mining customer, and their first mining customer is Core Scientific. Core Scientific is a publicly traded Bitcoin miner, and here is more information in regards to the announcement. So Block to supply Core Scientific with 15 exahashes worth of its 3 nanometer ASICs. It goes on to say, today we are announcing an agreement to supply Core Scientific with our new 3 nanometer mining ASICs representing approximately 15 exahashes of hash rate. The agreement provides the option for additional significant volume and is one of the industry's largest Bitcoin mining ASIC agreements announced in terms of hash rate. Core Scientific will become our first customer to leverage our ASIC in a unique mining solution. The choice of Core Scientific is intentional, as they are among the most predominant leaders in the Bitcoin mining industry, managing one of the largest mining operations in North America. Our strategic agreement with Core Scientific is about more than just supply and demand. It's about exchanging expertise and collaboration while supplying approximately 15 exahashes of our mining ASICs with an option for significant volume increases. The proto team at Block also co-designed a modular platform alongside Epic blockchain technologies with input from Core Scientific. We are already actively developing the new system, which will be operational from the outset using an older generation ASIC to verify the system design. The modular design flexibility will allow for straightforward upgrades to our 3 nanometer ASIC via its swappable hashboard. This ensures the system will easily adapt to new generations of ASICs as they become available. So Kent, man, this is your industry, my friend. What do you think about this? Specifically about, the centralization of the manufacturing of mining. Is this positive? Jack kind of going in here. Is this just an announcement of announcement? Is it, is that just a splash in the bucket? Like, is it, what's your take on all this?
Well, I mean, To interpret it as anything other than bullish would be incorrect. And the reason why is because one of the major centralization points within our entire ecosystem is the Bitcoin manufacturer, right? And I think Jack and Block and the rest of the team working to diversify that, and I know that there's several other companies that are doing the same right now, is great. In essence, Bitmain has had, I'll call it a pseudo monopoly on the industry. It recently came out in the last month that a lot of the mining pool hash rate is collected under their umbrella as well through Antpool. And the more that we can diversify and split up that market, the better and healthier our ecosystem is going to be. Now, the 3 nanometer size that the block has produced for Core Scientific here is, bleeding edge of ASIC size. So the smaller the transistor size, the more terahash you can get on a single manufacturing unit. And then what Core Scientific is talking about there is, in essence, changing the form factor. So Bitcoin mining rigs have come, or ASICs have come in basically a shoebox sized form. And what I read there is Core Scientific is figuring out, hey, instead of needing to replace that entire box, let's just figure out a way that we can swap out the hash boards inside that box and reuse and lower our capex for future upgrades. So all in all, this is a very innovative approach. Innovation can only occur from upstart disruptors, I hope. And remains to be seen that Block delivers on this agreement, but I certainly hope so, not just for Core Scientific, but for our whole community, because we get healthier the more diversified and distributed the manufacturing base becomes for mining rigs.
Absolutely, 100%, man, and I'm so absolutely bullish. I agree. It's bullish, right? It's bullish. Like we need. And it's incredibly difficult. I remember I was having a conversation with a buddy of mine, and he, like, one of his first entrepreneurial ventures in the industry was to develop an ASIC, and he was telling me how difficult it was just because of the cluster of experts, specifically into the Shenzhen region, right? So for someone to just say, hey, I want to manufacture, it's not easy at all whatsoever. It takes a tremendous amount of expertise and capital, and it seems like Jack Dorsey is doing it because of his fear of the centralization of the manufacturing of it, right? So shout out to Dorsey for once again supporting the industry, and he was a huge investor in the ocean mining pool as well, right? Which further decentralizes the whole mining, which I don't think it's as big of a deal as people say it is, because people will just move to another mining pool. But I do think that's important, and it's a step in the right direction, to say the least. Anyways, Opti, what's your take on all this, brother?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I do want to give a huge shout out to Jack Dorsey. He's been doing incredible work in the Bitcoin space, whether it's with his wallet, Cash App, or now, making ASIC mining chips. It's like, he's the GOAT right now. He's doing so much for Bitcoin, and it's incredible, and he's doing it all behind the scenes. It seems like he doesn't even really want credit for it. He's not like out there like, being obnoxious about what he's doing. He's just shipping stuff, and that's what I'd love to see. And to what Kent was saying, and a lot of, even actually to what Nico was saying, we were just at Mining Disrupt, and there was a lot of conversation around Ocean and the centralization of the mining pools. And very few people talk about the centralization in the mining chips. Not to say that Bitcoin isn't decentralized, but there is a choke point right now. And now that Jack Dorsey is making these chips, it's like finally we're getting some competition in the ASIC chips, and that's a good thing for Bitcoin. Like Kent said, it's hard not to see this as bullish news in general, because more competition in ASIC manufacturing means that not one person or one area can control what's going on with the ASICs, and that's a good thing. And so again, shouts out to Jack Dorsey, because he's just absolutely killing it out there with everything he's working on, all his different businesses. And this is kind of what we were saying in the beginning. It's like, once you go down the Bitcoin rabbit hole, everyone works for Bitcoin, and Jack Dorsey is living that ethos, and he's just killing it. He's just shipping great wallets. Cash App's one of the best financial services right now, And then, of course, like some ASIC chips. Like, this is great. This is absolutely wonderful to see. I can't wait to see other people do similar things to Jack Dorsey, and then this really get put into steroids and then start getting crazy out here.
100%. All right, guys, so let's move on to the news topic, then move on to the culture, talk about Kent, Sazmining. Very excited for that. But first, I do want to bring this up because I'm starting to see a pattern. I've seen this pattern for a very long time now. And again, it's rules for thee, but not for me. So here is the first no BS Bitcoin article. Paxful co-founder Arthur Shabak pleads guilty to conspiracy to fail to maintain an effective AML program. The co-founder and former chief technology officer of Paxful, Arthur Shabak, pleaded guilty to conspiracy to maintain an effective anti-money laundering program. Now, moving on to BitMEX. BitMEX is interesting because BitMEX, Arthur Hayes did a plea deal. Right. Again, same thing. No KYC, no AML. Very bad. But this is another case as it relates to it. They do mention it in the article. It's like, we already paid a huge fine, but it seems like they keep going. Anyways, it goes on to say Bitcoin exchange and derivative trading platform BitMEX pled guilty to violating the Bank Secrecy Act by, quote, willingly failing to establish, implement, and maintain an adequate anti-money laundering program. Now, what's really interesting about this is, again, let's take a look at the banks, and let's take a look at what they've done. So here's HSBC. This was a very infamous case. In 2012, HSBC paid a $1.9 billion fine to U.S. authorities for laundering money for the drug cartels in Mexico. Like, why did none of their executives go to jail? They just paid a fine. And again, 1.9 billion sounds like an astronomical amount, and it is. But for these banks, they really see it as a cost of doing business. No executive went to jail for that, and they were literally laundering money for drug cartels in Mexico. Okay. Deutsche Bank. The bank has faced multiple fines for AML failures, including a $630 million fine in 2017 for facilitating a $10 billion Russian money laundering scheme. Wachovia, which is now known as Wells Fargo, paid $160 million in 2010 for allowing a $378 billion in drug money to be laundered through its accounts. These instances underscore the significant role that some large banks have played in global money laundering activities. Regulatory bodies continue to impose hefty fines and implement stricter AML controls to combat these issues, highlighting the bank's involvement in large-scale money laundering schemes. Why fines for banks and prison sentence for Bitcoin exchanges? Like, CZ got 4 months and CZ didn't launder $1.9 billion for the Mexican drug cartels. Like, it's a double standard, man. It's a double standard. And speaking of cartels, this is cartel-like behavior, in my opinion. So anyways, I wanted to highlight that because I think it's incredibly important when you see these cases. And when you see, like Merrick Garland or, representatives of the DOJ go out there and it's like, Binance has something to do with money laundering and terrorism and all that stuff. And like where the vast majority of terrorism funding, right, is coming from the traditional financial system that has the AML and KYC systems in place. Why aren't they being put in prison? Why are they not being talked about? Why is it always our industry? Why are we the ones being locked in a box? Right? I'm starting to notice a small pattern here. Maybe I'm crazy, but doesn't seem very fair. Isn't it supposed to be justice? Aren't the scales of justice supposed to be balanced and even? Doesn't seem like it, in my opinion. Opti?
My take is very simple and clear. Is you don't investigate yourself for the crimes that you commit. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, that's just what. Like, of course, it's very obvious. Of course, it's rules for thee and not for me. It's like they know what they're doing, and they use the quote unquote legitimacy of the law and the legitimacy of the institutions to get away with hypothetical murder here. Like, this is. It's the Cantillon effect in real time. Like, this is why we Bitcoin. Like, this is exactly why we Bitcoin, is because we know there's all kinds of trickery going on in the financial world to basically not only do money laundering, but also just steal your wealth outright or also secretly. So like, yeah, I'm not surprised. Like, what are we talking about here?
Ken?
I mean, it just seems to me like there's been a Faustian bargain that's been made by the banking industry, right? It's like, hey, we'll surveil and control, put these control systems in place for all of our clients. And in exchange, you guys just let us launder the money on the side, right? And it seems to me like that pact has worked pretty well since the Bank Secrecy Act went in place. And what's come on is, this new Bitcoin and crypto industry, right? Which is sort of shaken up this monopoly the banking sector has had. And they're just saying, hey, we need to protect our moat. Like, let's go through the regulatory apparatus here and go attack them and shake them down and try to get them to back off and let us have our piece of the pie. I mean, I see money laundering is simply an industry, and the banking sector has cornered that market. They like the fees they're receiving off of it, and they're pissed off at the crypto exchanges for horning in on their share of the pie.
Yeah, it's so spot on. Like they cornered that market. They're like, no, wait a second. No, you can't have that. But they see it as a cost of doing business. Like that they pay these fines and they're like, oh, okay, that's fine. They'll leave us alone and not put us in a box. And then the government gets a cut, right? Because they say fines, like as if it's like, where's that fine going to? It's not like it's going to everybody. It's going specifically to the government. So I just find all of that very, very interesting.
It's literally like the mafia bribe tax. It's just like
straight up.
You get away with whatever you want. Just give me the money, and we'll look the other way. Publicly, you'll look bad, but in reality, it's just like it's really like it's the idea of if you have enough money, like you can get away with anything. It's just like you just got to pay the right price. Like that's what's going on right here.
Yeah,
that's it.
100%.
The folks laundering the money are simply paying a high enough fee that when it comes time to pay the expense side, which is the regulatory action, they've got the money set aside, ready to go.
100%. 100%. All right, gentlemen, before we move on to the next section, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor. And of course, I'm talking about KABOOMRACKS. KABOOMRACKS is the most trusted place to buy, sell mining equipment. To check out their racks, all you got to do is scan the QR code on the screen right now. It'll take you directly to their Telegram marketplace, or you can connect with a member of their sales team. They make purchasing their products easy and transparent. You could also sell your mining equipment with them. Access their vast network of domestic and international customers when you sell your mining equipment with KABOOMRACKS. So check them out, scan the QR code, or check the link in the video description. All right, everybody, let's hit the culture.
The Daily Culture.
All right, everybody, I also want to give a shout out to our sponsor, the Orange Pill app. Stack friends who stack sats, join the 11,178 Bitcoiners that are currently on the app. Orange Pill app is the Bitcoin social layer. If you're traveling or you're in a city and you just don't know any Bitcoiners, you pull up the Orange Pill app and it has a really clever geographical feature. It'll show you the Bitcoiners that are near you, and you can send them a DM. You can connect with them. It's probably a good idea to build up that Bitcoiner Rolodex, because I truly believe, as you saw with the cold opening, that Bitcoiners are going to be some of the most influential, powerful people in the next 5 to 10 years. It's probably a good idea to build up that Bitcoin friend list. So the Orange Pill app is the resource for you. Check the link in the video/podcast description, scan the QR code. And also, if you want to reach me directly, I don't answer Twitter DMs, but I do answer Orange Pill app messages. So send me a message on the Orange Pill app if you have any questions or you want to talk to me directly. Anyways, I'm really excited because Kent is back in the house, and we're going to hear Kent's origin story today. So how you doing, Kent? First of all, how you doing? It was great to see you in the flesh in Miami for Mining Disrupt. That was insane. Me and shout out to Opti, because Opti was holding it down. Holy shit. But that conference, I was
slaving, bro.
That conference was nuts. It was great. Of course, those guys do an incredible job putting it together. But yeah, man, putting together that live stream was absolutely hectic. But Kent and I, we had some time to, we got a moment to spend some time together, have a couple conversations. That was great. And happy to have you back on the show, man. So for anyone who's just tuning in, Ken is the CEO of Sazmining. Sazmining is Bitcoin mining as a service. And I just want to know, Kent, how did you get there? What's your origin story? How did you get into Bitcoin, man?
Oh man, I think all of us have got an interesting origin story, and I think mine fits in the interesting category. So first of all, it's Hawaiian Shirt Friday on here at Sazmining. We got to do something fun to keep our culture alive on Fridays. But I think my childhood actually had something to do with it, because sovereignty was just like built into my DNA as a kid. I grew up on a farm on the Oregon coast, had stories of settler and heritage sort of pioneering things in my past. And so, when I graduated from college, I got into rooftop solar. Similar idea. I just like seeing people be able to generate their own electricity and be sovereign. And that was a great career. And got into about 2014 and realized, I want to see the world. It had been kind of a dream of mine for a long time. And so I had a couple of years where I just threw on a backpack and traveled and saw most continents, let's say, across the planet, had some great adventures. And along the way, I bumped into a Portuguese woman that became my wife, and also Bitcoin. I was in the Sacred Valley of Peru, and now, funny enough, I live in Peru, but I was in the Sacred Valley of Peru and just had time on my hands. And there was something about Bitcoin and reading the white paper and trying to understand it at this point. This is late 2015, that I kept coming back to it. It was like this itch I couldn't quite scratch, and rode the wave of the 2016, 2017 bull market. And by 2016, I was relocated to Portugal, building a family, building a life there. Was doing like Bitcoin concierge services, trying my hand at being an entrepreneur, trying my hand at ATMs, trying my hand at mining from home, and just really figuring out like, okay, how do I put this passion that I've developed for Bitcoin into practice to generate a living from it? And, it took a long time, botched mining experience at my own home before I realized, after reading Jeff Booth's The Price of Tomorrow, that from my energy background in rooftop solar, putting myself into the mining sector was the right place to be. And so Will was still is the founder of Sazmining, and I heard him on a podcast with a solar host that I knew, and this was late 2020. And I reached out to the host and said, hey, can you put us in touch? And one thing led to another, and I came on at Sazmining as an energy advisor. I helped Will raise some capital, some pre-seed capital. And, unfortunately, it wasn't enough money to actually go out and build these projects that we developed. And so Will and I had a good think about what we could do with that capital, and realized, hey, there's this company called Compass that's growing pretty fast. And it seems like there's a lot of demand for the average Joe that wants to be able to mine Bitcoin. Like, why is that? And, scratching our heads, realized, oh, shoot, people want to acquire Bitcoin at a cheaper price. Who would have thought that? Like, let's make that easy. Let's build a platform. Let's build an experience. Let's focus on the service side of things, so that so people feel comfortable working with us. And yeah, one thing's led to another, and had a wonderful time getting to spend with you and others in the mining industry last 2 weeks ago now at Mining Disrupt. And yeah, I feel extremely fortunate to have found like my Ikea. How do you say that Japanese
Ikagi.
word?
Yeah.
Ikagi. Thank you. This Ikagi, like, where I feel like I'm just in the right place, right time in my life, putting my passion to use, and love what I do and the people I work with. So couldn't be luckier.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, it seems like you found purpose, and I think that is like, I think human beings need a purpose. I think you need a reason. Of course, your family, God, but you need a reason as to what are you going to do on this earth with the time allocated to you to leave the world a better place than you found it, right? And you found your calling, man, and it's super incredible. And the way that you guys are approaching this, and Opti, if you could pull that up, is very unique, right? It's very unique in the sense that no one really offers the UI, the support that you guys offer, and that makes Sazmining incredibly easy. And also the barrier to entry is very, very low, right? So could you kind of like walk people through that? Like, first, what is Saz? What do you guys offer? What are the steps that people need to take in order to get started acquiring Bitcoin at a cheaper rate than if they were just buying spot Bitcoin?
That's right. So yeah, basically, we're using the mechanism of mining and hardware, transforming electricity into Bitcoin as an acquisition vehicle. So most people think of, hey, I'm going to go to an exchange, I'm going to go to some sort of DCA service, and we're saying there's actually this other option. Like you can buy a piece of mining equipment and generate your own Bitcoin. And so how that works is for us, you show up on our website, you click that shop rigs button, you can go buy a mining rig. We've got a couple options, curated options for you. And, we show you the value proposition there, both in dollars and Bitcoin, the price, what it takes to get it to our data center in Paraguay. But, typical e-commerce experience, purchase your mining rig. We get it procured and shipped and deployed in about a month in Paraguay. And you provide us your Bitcoin address, how you want to pay for the electricity consumption of your mining rig, and we take care of it on your behalf. So mining rig is yours. We just have possession of it, and you receive all the Bitcoin that mining rig generates. Now, how do we make money is the most common question that we get next after I explain what it is that we do. And it's pretty easy. So first of all, our clients, they've got to pay for the mining hardware. They've got to pay for the electricity. We don't make money there. Like there's no markup on those two. What we do is have those set up to just offset the expenses. But how we do make money is on the back end, the exact same way our clients do, which is as a percentage of the mining reward. So our management fee is just 15% of all the Bitcoin that is mined. That's the only way that we make money. And that means that the mining pool, when it sends it out, splits the transaction such that 85% goes to our client's wallet and just 15% goes to us. And that keeps our incentives fully aligned with our clients, which means that now we care about how quickly can we get your mining rig plugged in, how quickly can we turn repairs, how do we maximize the uptime. So, if we have curtailment, which we do have a bit of, that impacts us exactly the same amount as it impacts our clients.
100%. That's an incredibly important point, right? And that's really kind of like the differentiating factor. And, kind of the theme of today's episode is this aligned incentive structure, right? If you guys don't if those miners are plugged in, you guys aren't making money either, right? So it's not like, you're paying this hosting fee and it's like, that's it. You guys get, your revenue via a percentage of the Bitcoin being mined. So what that causes you guys to be like, hey, if these machines aren't plugged in, we're going to go out of business. And that's very unique, right? Like I prefer that business model because I know that you guys are, to use Keiser's words, right? You guys are working for me in the sense, right? I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the way I look at it is you guys are my colleagues, right? And we're all running Bitcoin only businesses here, and we're all working to grow the Bitcoin pie together. And yes, by aligning incentives, we now work alongside of our clients. And I think that there's been an error that our industry has made repeatedly, which is that there's a lot of folks that mark up the mining rigs as their primary source of making money. And while that's a fairly easy approach, once you've sold the rig, what incentive do you have to actually deliver it, get it plugged in, get it operational, maintain it? I mean, yes, you're selling electricity, but if you're not making very much money there, if your primary source of making money is on the rig sale, then once the transaction is complete on the front end, there's not a lot of incentive on the back end to operate. So the route that we chose to build this business and to bootstrap it is so much harder. But we're Bitcoiners. We got that low time preference, and we're skating to where we think the puck is going in our industry, which is, again, aligned incentives, keep our value set the same as the Bitcoin network, and we'll succeed and win with other Bitcoiners out there.
Absolutely. We have a question from one of the audience members. Jose Cuervo, I don't know if that's your real name, but that's funny.
The tequila maximalist, Nico.
How often are the blackouts / miner downtime in Paraguay?
Yeah, so it varies, right? Where we are, we're in a sub-utility in one jurisdiction, and while there's plenty of power on the grid, there's not enough substations built out, and that is a work in progress, where we're located, and in exchange for getting very low cost electricity that we provide to our clients, we do have curtailment. That curtailment on average is about 20% per year. So we have about 80% uptime. However, during the summer, it's much worse. During the winter, it's much better. So we're in the winter months right now, and we've been high in excess of 80%, but in the summer months, it's been much lower than 80%. So 80% estimated annualized uptime. It's our first year there, and that's what we're seeing. We're tracking pretty well to that.
Absolutely, man. And and then what's another question, like how stable is the government in Paraguay? Lots of good questions today.
Yeah, no, digging in. I think it's very easy to sort of lump Paraguay in with every other Latin American country, but I do think that there's nuance specifically to Paraguay. So I didn't mention about the rate. So yeah, we're charging 4.7 cents. That's the cost that we acquire at, plus providing the maintenance. So the government there, I made the decision to go into Paraguay along with my management team because we looked at March last year at the attack that was going on in the mining sector. You know, the 30% proposed electricity price tax, the New York State crackdown on mining. There was a bill that was introduced at that point in Texas. We just said, this doesn't look like a particularly healthy dynamic right now. Let's avoid that. Let's go to a place where incentives are aligned. And I saw that in Paraguay. And the reason why I saw that is because there is a massive IMF World Bank project that was built in the 70s called the Itapu Dam, and it crosses the border of both Brazil and Paraguay. It's a 14 gigawatt dam, and which makes it the second largest in the world, behind Three Gorges. And half the power goes to Brazil, half to Paraguay. The problem is in Paraguay, they couldn't utilize all that power. Right. And so about 5 gigawatts was being sold at a loss to Brazil. And miners are coming in as really the first industry that's seeing that and being able to take advantage of it and scale and saying, no, don't sell that at a loss. Sell it to us at a pretty low price, and we'll utilize it to turn it into Bitcoin and export that. So we're bringing economic value. So we're repatriating electricity. We're operating as an uplift on GDP instead of a drag. And for that reason, I saw that the politicians would ultimately rally behind Bitcoin mining. And that's what we've seen. It's been a lumpy journey, but I'd say we're at the end stages of it. So what's happened is about 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago now, there was a proposed ban on mining by one group of politicians. That was immediately smacked down, and a big sort of tussle ensued for the political class. Like, what is this? And what's come about now is we're now at the phase of acceptance. And I say that because a proposed tax was just put into place on Bitcoin mining. So there's like a 14% increase on the price of power. And to me, you're not going to do that if you expect to kick out that industry. So that signifies acceptance to me. And the very last stage of that is whether that's going to get retracted or not. There's meetings that have been ongoing between the president and president of the state-run utility to ultimately determine if this is going to get retracted or not, which, fingers crossed it does, because it is having a material impact. Luckily, not directly on us, because again, we're in a sub-utility. We're not directly on the state-run utility, but it is impacting the mining community, this tax, and going to rejigger, the economics of mining for a lot of actors. And I think, just given the worry that we've been reading between the lines, there's a good shot that it does get retracted. But, I think that the game is about ready to open up in a massive way in Paraguay as a result of these political actions that have happened over the last 6 months.
And it's first of all, I didn't know that about the dam. And that's absolutely fascinating. And for anyone who's not in the know, stranded energy in Bitcoin, it's a match made in heaven, right? You can't really monetize it any other way. You can't really transport electricity over long distances. You can't really store it effectively. A great example of that is like if you have an iPhone or an Android and you leave it unplugged overnight, even though you charge it to 100%, you wake up the next day, it's probably at 99, right? So can't store electricity, especially large amounts, right? Effectively. Can't transport it either. It loses efficiency every kind of mile that you transport it. So you kind of have to use it right then and there where you produce it. But the problem is that You know, like if that dam is in the middle of the, of the Paraguayan slash, Brazilian rainforest or jungle. I don't know.
The Amazon.
No, I don't think the Amazon goes down. Goes down the deep. But anyways, let's just say it's in the wilderness. Let's just put it like that. You kind of have to use it. And that's where Bitcoin miners come in and say, hey, you know what? We'll buy that excess energy. And there was something really interesting that happened, Kent, if you could talk about that, where before I think Paraguay was selling a lot of that to Brazil. And then they came to a realization like, we're going to get a better deal if we just sell it to Bitcoin miners.
Yeah, that's right. That's what has gone on. In fact, that's been part of the political tussle that's happened over the last few months, is that there has been folks that have been supporting it. So exact same way that like Bitcoin is co-opting politicians in the US, it's been doing the same in Paraguay, right? There are politicians that have been mining Bitcoin and seeing the value in that. And so they're sort of protecting their baby here too. And they've come out and published just the price that they've been selling the power to Brazil for, to make it very clear to the populace that, hey, we can sell it here for this, or we can sell it there for that. And by the way, we sell it there for that, and we suddenly pull in a whole bunch more money. So the economic incentives are working exactly how you'd expect. And in fact, the number that I heard pushed around was about $200 million in tax revenue is currently coming in right now, before the tax on electricity was just put into place, that 14% tax I just mentioned. So $200 million in tax revenue, that gets a country like Paraguay's attention, right? And that means that, that revenue can come in and build out the infrastructure that's needed on the grid, more substations. It's just a virtuous circle. And it's beautiful to be a part of that on the ground and seeing it, transform the economy there. Our operations have got about 35 different people employed at this point, and that's exciting.
That's that's incredible, man. That's really, really cool stuff, what you guys are doing. So Kent, to get started, people are listening to this, they're liking it, they're enjoying it. They should go to sazmining.com/simplybitcoin. You get just use that referral code, and they can get started on this journey and kind of walk them through the initial steps, because some people might find that like, okay, great, I can get cheaper sats, but maybe they feel like they don't have the technical know-how. Is this something complicated to do to get started?
I mean, if you can hail an Uber, you can be a miner, right? Like that's it, right? We've done very similar to what Uber did, which is, it was kind of complicated to grab a taxi and figure all that out, and we've uncomplicated it. We've undone the knot here. And so you come on our website, you choose your mining rig, you got the value proposition, how much value can it generate right now? What is the cost to run it? You choose that, you purchase it. Once it's deployed there and hashing, we'll ask you to set up your service plan and a mechanism for us to be able to bill you for the electricity that your machine consumes. We bill you only what it generates. That's it, on a monthly basis. And by keeping it true, it ensures that when curtailment happens, and it will, you're not going to be paying for power that your machine's not consuming. That's only fair. And by the way, all the Bitcoin that you receive go straight to your wallet. And there's a really interesting thing that I'm seeing with our community, that the value of the Bitcoin that you mine, when you have your first sat show up in your wallet, there's something special about that as a Bitcoiner, right? It's like, it's empowering is the only word I can think of it. And it reminds me a little bit of going out in my rooftop solar days and helping people turn on their own solar systems. There's a sense of self-sovereignty to it, right? It's like, hey, I generated my own Bitcoin. I've got my own money in life, and I've got my own means to generate it through this proof of work mechanism that we call mining. And so, yeah, anyway, it's very fantastic to be able to do this. And I think it could even bootstrap, a circular economy, because people are generating their own sats that they can do with as they will. Beautiful.
Beautiful, man. I'm this is incredible, guys. Head over to sazmining.com/simplybitcoin to get started. Kent, if you have any final words, any thoughts for our audience, what would it be?
Oh man, just keep studying Bitcoin. Your life will improve. Like, that's it. Like, study Bitcoin, and you will see that the more you study it, the more you'll realize that just effort to generate your own Bitcoin is worth it. And if you've got questions, hit me up. I am on Twitter at Halliburton. And, if you want to talk to any of our staff about the opportunity, we've got chats in there. We've got a great support system in place. And I couldn't be happier than the folks that I get to surround myself with each day at Sazmining to work with. Like, we're all Bitcoiners committed through and through to this cause and this opportunity. And just can't wait to help everybody succeed in their own lives by having their own self-sovereign money.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
And I'm actually gonna, because we talked about this beforehand, and I'm just gonna soft launch it on the show for people. Kent, blow up Kent's notifications and DMs, because he's becoming a reoccurring guest on Simply Bitcoin. So we're going to do I don't know what we'll figure out what the schedule is, but we'll do like a monthly mining recap with Kent. So if you have questions in regard to the mining space, hit up Kent. He'll come on the show. He'll prepare the answers for you guys so that you guys are up to date with what's going on in the mining space, and also just like answering the questions you guys want. So if you have Q&A for mining, hit up Kent, and next time he comes on, he'll answer them for you guys.
Amen.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Let me just add one thing, because I think that there's something I noticed at Mining Disrupt that I think is important to know. Is most people that are listening in on this are in one part of two camps that exist within Bitcoin. There's the merchant Bitcoin economy, and there's the mining Bitcoin economy. And there's not too many bridges between the two. Like at Mining Disrupt, I bet you didn't run into many people. Like Ocean is an exception. I think we're an exception to that. But I see that my role here on Simply Bitcoin is to help bridge that. Because I think the more that you understand about mining, I think we all end up as miners when it's all said and done. And I think that bridge is super important to help all of us understand both about money, energy, and time. And that helps our species evolve and helps us become a more civilized race.
100%. I 100% agree with that. Bars, absolutely. Guys, head over to sazmining.com and follow Kent on Twitter. Send him a DM. Blow up his DMs if you guys have any questions about it. And yeah, absolutely awesome. I think Opti, we have about 10-12 minutes or so to do a meme review. So let's squeeze it in. Here we go.
Opti's Friday meme review.
All right,
I am never amazed at how sultry my voice sounds. It sounds so great every time I hear that. All right, guys, you already know the deal. It's Friday. We got the meme review here. So we're going to review some memes. Give us your meme review score in the chat. It's a meme in itself. And let's get on to the memes. You already know the deal. Tweets are the bullets. Memes are the artillery. You guys are the frontline soldiers in the information war on the battleground of the internet. I think I nailed that one today, Nika. All right, first one is by my boy, Big Sean Harris. So it's a little context. There's this video of this dog here, and like the owner is kind of teasing him with like pizza, and his eyes are like opening up, and then like he moves it back, and he's just like, yeah, I don't care. Eyes are opening up. All right, anyways. Big Sean Harris has, changed it a little bit. And you see the dog, he's looking kind of nervous and scared. And he goes, the first time you send Bitcoin on chain and it hasn't arrived. And then you're just like, whatever. Once it arrives to your wallet, you're like, okay, cool. I didn't lose my Bitcoin. And then once it clicks, your eyes open up again. You're like, what is this freedom power? What is this thing that I just own now? I need to go deeper in the rabbit hole. And Big Sean Harris goes, nothing spikes the emotions quite like that first Bitcoin on-chain transaction. Honestly, I remember the exact place I was when I did my first transaction. It was like in my room, is dark, and I did my first one, and I barely knew how to work Bitcoin back then. And I was literally this dog. I was like legitimately this dog. Like, wait, did I just lose my money? Nope, it got in my wallet. What is this thing? This is amazing. All right, next one by Greg Zaj. And he goes, how I look at countries selling real money for fake money. And we got Adam back here with a signature look of superiority. This is all of us out there. It's like this one, Adam back on the bottom. Judgmental Votori meme, eh? And he's just looking down like, yes, I am better than you. Sell me all your sats. Okay, next one is by Thomas Farrer. And he goes, BlackRock is the buy wall. They scooped up another 2,100 Bitcoin. Do you see what's happening? and you see, you know, the guy, I forget where this meme is, but he's like, you know, on the lady opening up the eyes, like, look at it. Do you see it? Do you see the chart? And this is just the Bitcoin price, historical price, bull markets. You have 2012, you know, it's going sideways, it's all boring, and then it just goes nuclear. 2016, the same thing. 2020, the same thing. And now we are in the part where it's looking like it's going nuclear on the, what's it? Linear chart. Okay, this next one, a little spicy. Shouts out to my boy Ropium here. He just has the brain emoji with the handshake and heart. And he goes, the feeling when the feds extort half your wages and inflate the other half into nothingness, your brain and your heart are just flipping them off. What are you doing? You're stealing from me. This is why we are Bitcoiners in the first place. And this next one is basically everyone in the chat. We have BTC Gandalf. He goes, they want you distracted. And we have the Winnie the Pooh distorted face here, and it goes debating left versus right, and then, you know, the look of superiority here, Winnie the Pooh in a suit. It goes, understanding the issues are beyond party lines, guys. This is what we say every single day on the show. It's not left versus right, it's orange versus green. You know, there's the state and there's you, and the state hates you. This is where we are. Okay, all right, guys, drop your meme review score in the chat as we give our meme review scores live on the show.
I'm gonna give it this glass of water, this empty glass.
Wow,
there was a drop of water in there.
Wow, Nico's drinking wine behind the scenes.
No. I've been just using these cups. Have you ever gone to a hotel and they serve you water in these cups and they put like a little plastic and you drink that water and it's like really delicious? So I think there's like a psychological aspect of drinking water out of little wine glasses.
You fancy. Well, on the same and kind of the same vein, I'm gonna give my glass of water, but it's a Shiner Frost glass.
See, that doesn't look appetizing. Like if you serve me water in that glass, I would just be like,
it's
probably tastes,
it's frosty.
It just probably tastes worse.
Wow, dude, Nika literally just poor shamed me on the show.
What are you talking about?
It's with his wine glass.
$5
like you
glass.
pour over there drinking your water, not in a wine glass.
It's a $5 wine glass. What are you talking about?
Freaking guy over here. What a classist.
What would you give
what's
those
your review
games?
score?
I'm gonna go with the battery pack, man.
Yeah.
Gonna give them. Hey, they're powering us. They're giving us fuel. They're making us laugh, have some fun. So
Yes.
Solid
Everyone needs a
score.
power pack. I think I have like 3 of those.
Everyone
I never
needs-
use them. I literally never use them, and I have so many of them.
Everyone needs Nico needs a pinky ring. Everyone needs a power pack. Anyways, let's get through some of these scores. We already have some in the chat. First score by Elaine. In days of old, they dug for gold. That's not cool today. And you miners here, hold my beer. Nothing could be finer than a Bitcoin miner. Ooh.
Elaine gets it.
Okay.
Hold my beer, Nico. While you drink water out of your wine glass.
One peaceful revolution that separates money from state. All right. Next one by, oh no, I dropped something. Oh no, here it is. Visnock, meme score. Actually, Visnock will get a free entry to the Bitcoin Pleb Party in Nashville, courtesy of Simply Bitcoin. We love this guy so much.
Gaslighting us.
Anyways, his meme score is a big fish emoji. Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, I can actually say this one. Okay.
Copernicus, one hot wallet multi-sig in my house, one cold storage multi-sig jurisdictionally spread out, and one extra hot wallet in nature's pocket.
Oh wait, I couldn't have
What
said
did
that.
I just say?
Never mind. We're gonna let that one slide.
What did I say? I didn't even know.
Keep going.
I don't get it, but fuck you, Copernicus. Why do you even pull up Copernicus?
I thought it was okay.
Was it
Sorry.
really that bad? Okay, I don't understand it, so it must be not that bad. Okay, Jose Cuervo, score running a S21 from a small power pack with the help of hydropower. Opti failed his filter today.
It looked nice. It looked
I rate the memes. Nico is short Bitcoin and long wine glasses. It's true. It could be $5 in sats.
Nico can read this one. He knows some German.
I can read this?
Yeah, go.
I can't read that. Okay, I'll try. Noah says, I give these memes auf Wiedersehen, farewell Deutschland. Don't know what that means. Atten lost, score 2034, year German suing its government for selling national treasuries in 2024. That's the best score of today. And last score by Mikkel. This Pomsky, I'm dog sitting. Oh, I love Pomsky. It's very cute. Any ones on Rumble, Opti?
No.
Okay, so
they're sleeping.
hit the button. We ran out of time. It's not that we ran out of meme scores. We just ran out of time.
It's the buzzer.
Anyways, if you guys enjoyed the show and you know what to do, smash the like button. Consider subscribing if you feel like we provided you value. I'm your host, Nico. It's my co-host, Optimus Field, and our Copernicus. Fuck you,
Adam.
and our guest for today, Ken, CEO of Sazmining. Go to sazmining.com today to get started. Bitcoin mining as a service. Everyone have an amazing weekend. Take care. Enjoy. Unplug. Touch grass. See the sun. And we'll see you guys on Monday for a brand new episode. Peace out, everybody.
Episode was brought to you by bitcoinwell.com, on a mission to enable independence.